Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 10 math. So you can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password is provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 10 and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter quadratic functions, and the lessons we're going to cover from the chapter are characteristics of the quadratic functions, complete a function table quadratic functions, graph quadratic functions in vertex form, transformations of quadratic functions. So let's just start with the lesson chapter quadratic function. Here I am on grade 10 math. The chapter is quadratic equations. The lesson is characteristics of the quadratic function. So let's just start with the lesson. So let's start with an example. Look at this graph. You are given with a graph of a quadratic function. You have to find the you need to calculate the vertex of the um, function, right? So you can see the graph is here is the vertex, right? And that is at the origin where both the x and y values are 0 and 0. And also the vertex is the highest point of the graph. So both the values are 0, 0 at this point, right? So the vertex of the parabola is the vertex of a parabola that opens downward is the highest point, so that would be 0, 0, right? Let's just start with the practice questions, right? Okay, look at this graph. What is the y-intercept? So when we're working on the quadratic functions, what is the y-intercept of a graph? Y-intercept is a point where graph is touching the y-axis, right? So here you can see the graph is passing through the origin, right? And this is the point where the graph is touching the y-axis. So the graph is touching the y-axis at y equals 0, right? The correct option is 0. Y-intercept is 0. Got it? Okay, look at this graph. The parabola opens downward, right? So the vertex of the graph is the highest point of the graph that opens downward, right? If it opens downward, so that would be the highest point. So you can see the vertex of this graph is at the origin, and at the origin both x and y are 0, 0. So the vertex of this parabola is 0, 0, right? The correct option is 0, 0. Look at this graph. What is the equation of axis of symmetry? So you are given a graph, you have to calculate the axis of symmetry of this graph, right? So what is the axis of symmetry of the graph? So basically, the axis of symmetry of a parabola is that is a line that divides an object into two equal halves, right? So if we make a line and line divides the parabola into two equal lines, that is the axis of symmetry, right? So you can draw the line here, and the line is at 1 2 3 x equals negative 3 it is. So that means the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals 3, because that is the line that divides the parabola into two exactly equal halves, right? So the correct option is the equation is x equals negative 3, right? So the correct option is negative 3, right? Okay, look at this graph. Okay, now this graph is open upward, right? So the graph has the minimum value of the function. This is the minimum value, or you can say that is the vertex of the parabola. And again, the parabola is passing through the origin, so the vertex of the parabola is 0, right? The correct option is 0 it is. Or the minimum value or the vertex, they both are 0, 0. Vertex is 0, 0, like both x and y values, and the parabola opens downward, right? Oh, upward, sorry. Okay, look at this graph. What are the coordinates of the vertex? So the vertex is the maximum point of the parabola because that opens downward, right? So this is the point that is the vertex of the parabola. So just match it to the y-axis. It is 10, 9, 8, and then match it to the x-axis, that is negative 4, right? So the vertex is at negative 4 and 8. That is the vertex of the given parabola. Negative 4 and 8 is the second option is the correct option, right? Because x is negative 4 and y is 8. Okay, look at this graph. What is the y-intercept? So y-intercept is the point where the graph is passing through the y-axis, right? So you can see the graph is passing through the y-axis. Here it is, right? And here y equals negative 1. So the y-intercept is y equals negative 1. Correct option is negative 1. Look at this graph. What are the coordinates of the vertex? So parabola opens downward, right? So the vertex of the parabola is the maximum point of the parabola. So that is the vertex of the parabola. That is the maximum point of the parabola. So just match it to the y-axis, that would be 10, and match it to the, I think 2 it is on x-axis. Yes, that is 2 and 10. That is the vertex of the parabola. This point is the vertex of the parabola, right? Because the parabola opens downward. So the vertex is the maximum point of the parabola, that is 2 and 10. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So basically, the characteristics of the quadratic functions are, we have discussed vertex here. So let's just review, right? If the parabola opens downward, the vertex is the maximum point of the parabola. And if the parabola opens upward, the vertex is the minimum point of the parabola, right? Then we worked on the y-intercept. So y-intercept is a point where the graph is passing through the y-axis, right? That is a point where graph is passing through the y-axis, right? And the third thing is, I forgot, axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is the line that divides the figure into exactly object into exactly two equal parts, right? That is a line that divides the parabola, because we are working on the parabola, that divides the parabola into two equal halves, right? So when we are working on the maths, make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well, right? You can note down these This is very important information. You can note down them. Okay, let's just start with the. Okay, I can wait. You can note down. Okay, let's just start with the next lesson. The next lesson is the next lesson is complete a function table quadratic functions. Okay, so complete the table. You are given a function also and a table also. The function is f of s equals s square plus 7, right? And you are given the values of x. You need to put these values in the function and you have to calculate f of s, right? For example, you have to evaluate s equals negative 2. So you have to replace in the function, you have to replace the s with negative 2 in the function and then you have to evaluate. So you replaced s is negative 2 square is 4 and 7 plus 4 equals 11. Basically, you have to replace the function one by the s values and you have to evaluate. Let's just do the practice questions, then that would be easy to understand. Okay, the function is f of r equals r square minus 5r. You have to evaluate 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me just write down the function here. That is f of r equals r square minus 5r. You have to evaluate the function on 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? Let's just start with 0. You have to evaluate f of 0, right? So that means you need to replace all the r with 0. That is 0 square minus 5 times 0. So 0 is 0, minus 5 is 0, the answer is 0. That means when r is 0, f of r is also 0, right? Then you have to evaluate at 1, f of 1. So replace the r with 1. That is 1 square minus 5 times 1. So 1 minus 5 is negative 4. That means when r equals 1, f of r equals negative 4, right? Same you have to do with f of 2. You have to replace all the r in the function with 2. So that would be 2 square minus 5 times 2, right? So just evaluate, do the calculations. 2 times 2 square is 4 and minus 5 times 2 is 10. That is negative 6. That means when f is 2, when r is 2, f of negative 2 is negative 6, right? Then you have to evaluate on f equals 3. Same thing you have to do with 3. Replace the function, replace the r with 3 in the function, right? So that is 3 square is 9 and 5 times 3 is 15. So 9 minus 15 is negative 6. That means when f equals 3, f of r equals negative 6. So these are the values of the functions on 0, 1, 2, and 3. They are 0, negative 4, negative 6, and negative 6. So option number 2 is the correct option, right? Okay, the next example is complete the table. You have to evaluate the function given is f of q equals 2q square and you have to evaluate the function on q equals negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So let's just evaluate. That is f of negative 1. Replace the q with negative 1, right? 2 times negative 1 square. So negative 1 square is 1 and 1 times 2 is 2. So it is 2, right? Now evaluate on 0. On 0 it is 0 because 2 times 0 is 0. Then f of 1, so q is 2, f of 1 is 2. Then you have to evaluate on f equals 2, so that would be 2 times 2 square. 2 square is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8, so that would be 8. So the correct option is 2028. Option number 2 is the correct option, right? The correct option is second one, that is 2028. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, the next one is complete the table. The function is f of g equals g square. Use your notebook and pencil, evaluate the function on your notebook and write the correct option in the chat box. So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 2, that is 1014. Option 2 is the correct option. Complete the table. F of q equals q square minus 1. You have to evaluate the function on q equals negative 3, negative 1, 1 and 3. So evaluate the function and let me know the answers. The correct option is option number 2 is the correct option. They are 8, 0, 0 and 8. Option 2 is the correct option. Complete the table. F of d equals d square plus 4d. The correct option is option number 2, that is negative 3, negative 4, negative 3 and 0 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is graph quadratic functions in vertex form. Okay, so graph the function f of x equals 5x square, right? You have to plot the vertex, then plot another point in the parabola. If you make a mistake, you can raise okay. So we have to graph this function in the vertex form. First, we have to evaluate the vertex, right? You can see the equation is f of x equals 5x square. That means the vertex of the parabola is 0, 0, right? Now we have to look for another point on the parabola, right? One point is 1, 5. If you put 1 in the function, that is 5, right? Plugging in x equals 1 yield y equals 5. So you have now 2 points. The vertex that is 0, 0 and a point that is 1, 5. So just join these points and make a parabola, right? So basically, when you need to make the parabola, graph the parabola, you need 2 points. The 2 points are one of the vertex and the second point on the parabola. A parabola is the graph of a quadratic polynomial, right? What is parabola? The parabola is the graph of the quadratic equation. The vertex form of a parabola that opens up and downward is y equals a times x minus h square plus k. The vertex is h and k. If a is greater than 0, the parabola opens up, and if a is less than 0, the parabola opens down, right? Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, but we do not have practice questions, so let's just see the other one. Next question, right? You are not given with the. Okay, the next question is f of x equals 6x square, right? Again, you need to you need 2 points, right? One of the point is the vertex of the parabola, and the second point must be on the line. So the first, you can see here, the equation is the equation in the form of parabola is x minus 0 whole square minus 0 square. So vertex of the parabola must be 0 0, because the equation is simply 6x square. That means the vertex of the parabola is 0 0. We need another point on the parabola, so replace the x equals 1. If you do f of 1, that is 6 times 1 square equals 6. So you have now 2.00 here, that is the vertex of the parabola, and x equals 1 and y equals 6. So just join these 2 points and make a parabola. The parabola looks like this, right? You can see here, the question is already solved. Here is the parabola. Parabola is 0 0. You can have another point on the parabola, that is x equals 1 by 2. Then that is 3 over 2. So here it, but you can see when x equals 1, y equals 6, right? So you can use any point. Here they substituted x equals 1 over 2. I did x equals 1, right? So you can put any value of x, and then you can make the parabola. Okay, the other one is graph the function f of x equals 2x square, right? You have to plot the vertex. So again, here you are given the vertex is 0 0. You can just look at the equation, that is simply 2x square. That means the vertex of the parabola is 0. You can calculate another point on the parabola, and let's suppose x equals 2. The point is 1 and 2, right? You can see here it is. You can make a parabola like this when x equals 1, y equals 2. So here is the another point on the parabola. Just join these 2 points, just join the vertex and the other point and make a parabola, right? Okay, let's just move on to next lesson. Okay, the next lesson is transformations of quadratic functions. So let's just start with the lesson. Okay, find g of x, where g of x is the translation units up of f of x equals x squared. So you are going to translate the function 5 unit up, right? So here is the table of the translations. You can, here it is. If the function is translated left, you have to evaluate, you have the transformation is f of x plus h, right? And if the function translates h unit right, it would be f of x minus h. You are given the table, keep this table in your mind when applying the transformations. When you translate the function up and down, you have to add k. For up you need to add k, and for down you need to subtract k, not, you have to add and subtract k in the complete function, right? F of x plus k. You can see the example. The function is translated 5 unit up. So the function is f of x, right? You need to, the function is x square. You need to add 5. So that is g of x equals x square plus 5. When the function is translated 5 unit up, it is g of x equals x square plus 5, right? These are the very important translations. Keep this very important table in your mind when you're working on the translations, right? Okay. The next one is find g of x, where g of x is translation 9 unit up. So you need to, the function is x square, right? So then the translation is f of x equals x square plus 9. Let's just start with the test questions. Find g of x, where g of x is a translation of x unit up of f of x plus up of f of x equals x square, right? Basically, write your answer in the form m x plus a whole square plus b. You are given here. A is the translation for right and left, and b is the translation for up and down, right? So here you have translated 8 unit up. So the function is simply x square. You have to add 8. So that would be x square plus 8 is the correct option. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? That is f of x equals x square plus 8. Option 1 is the correct option. Okay, find g of x, where g of x is is the translation 5 unit up of f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? The function is translated 5 unit up. So the correct option is, yes, that is x square plus 5. Option number 1 is the correct option. The correct option is x square plus 5. Option 1 is the correct option. Find g of x, where g of x is a translation 10 unit up for f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is, the function is translated 10 unit up, so that would be x square plus 10 is the correct option. Option 1 is the correct option. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 3 units down for f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? The correct option is, yeah, that is 3 unit down translation. So the correct option is x square minus 3. Option 2 is the correct option. Right, g of find g of x where g of x is a translation 1 unit down of f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? The correct option is that is 1 unit down. So that would be x square minus 1 is the correct option, right? Option number 1 is the correct option, that is x square minus 1. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 9 unit down of f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is that is 9 unit down. So that would be x square minus 9. Option number 1 is the correct option. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 5 unit down of f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? Yes, that is 5 unit down. So it would be x square minus 5. Option number 2 is the correct option. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 6 unit down of f of x equal x square. Yes, the correct option is x square minus 6. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 4 unit down of f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is x square minus 4. Option number 2 is the correct option. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 7 unit up of f of x equals x square. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is x square plus 7. Right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 10 math. The chapter we were working on is quadratic functions, equations, and the lessons we have covered today are characteristics of quadratic functions, complete a function table quadratic functions, graph quadratic functions in vertex form, and transformations of quadratic functions. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10. So if you have any question related to the lessons we just did, you can ask. I'm here to answer all your confusions and questions if you have any.